Hi there, good evening everybody. It's 6 o'clock and welcome to this week's episode of the Bourne Property Show. So 6 o'clock Thursday evening, here we are again over at the Bourne office where we will be hosting this evening's property show. You'll notice straight away this week that it's just myself tonight. Lewis, the office manager here, he's actually out on appointments as we speak at the moment. So you're left with me tonight. My name's Michael Hollenby. I'm the operations manager for Hill & Clark, and I cover the 5 offices in the South Lincolnshire area, and that covers our lettings department and also our sales, but we also have a commercial department and block management. So welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us again this week. We had a fantastic response to last week's first live show on Facebook. We broadcast live last Thursday at 6 o'clock, and again we rebroadcast that post out on Tuesday evening, and we are really proud and over the moon to announce that we've had over 2,000 views of that programme in the last 7 days. So we just want to say a really big thank you to all of you. Thanks for getting involved. We've had comments throughout the week, we've had feedback throughout the week, we've had questions throughout the week, and we've been so pleased with the response that we've had in our local community. So just want to say a real big thank you to you. It'd be really good for me to know that you're out there and I'm not just talking to myself this evening, so please do get involved. The first thing I want you to do is just hit that like button just so I can see that you're out there and everything's all working okay tonight. Also, if you're liking the comments that we're putting out this evening, make sure you hit that heart button, just again so I can get that feedback of making sure that you're really involved with tonight's topics. Topic tonight for you, as we posted out last week and in the post throughout the week on Facebook, if you've been following that, is the Bourne property market and the government's budget promise to build 300,000 more homes per year. Government set out a pledge in 2017 to build 1 million properties by 2020. We'll show you tonight whether they're on track with that as well, and also where we are in regard to the local market in Bourne as well and the surrounding areas. So I'm just going to be looking over at my other screen here this evening just to see if those likes are coming through and those hearts are coming through. Delighted to see already that we've had some involvement this evening, so thank you very much indeed for that. That's very much appreciated. So let's have a look at what tonight's programme is going to involve for you. So we're going to be looking at a hot topic. As I mentioned, that's about the government's budget promise to build those properties. We're also going to show you that we've been out on the streets in Bourne today, asking the public and the local businesses and the business owners what's important to them and any questions that they have which is property related. We've also been finding out why they love living in Bourne and why they love working in Bourne. So keep an eye out for those videos and those posts throughout the evening as well. We'll also be putting those videos that we've actually taken with those people today also out in the rebroadcast. So again, whilst they're not featured tonight to live show, throughout the post next week you'll be able to see those actual videos taking place in there as well. As usual, we'll also be hosting our question and answers section this evening. So again, if you've got any questions throughout the evening, do feel free to just pop those through on our Facebook Live page. There's the little comment button at the bottom of your screen. Pop your comment in there, any feedback, any question, hit the send button over. They'll keep coming through the show this evening as we're going through tonight. And as I say, we're happy to answer those. Anything that we can't answer this evening, we will look at that through the week and post those back out next week for you as well. Had a real good involvement again from the Bourne Rural Facebook page. Thanks for all your involvement this week with some great questions coming over to us, and again we're going to be addressing that for you in tonight's show. On top of that, we'll be looking at, as I say, questions of the week from the public, and also looking at what the topic will be for next week for you. So let's dive straight in and have a look at our hot topic of the week. So last week we had some questions coming in about the buildings and build over in the Bourne area. There's the Lark Homes development that's also under an application at the moment with the South Kesteven District Council for a development of 110 properties. That's really got everybody debating and talking on those sites. And also when we've been out on the roads and in the streets as well this week, that is something that is of a concern of obviously the residents of the Bourne and the surrounding areas. So one of the things that we wanted to have a look at is again what's happening with the local housing market for you and where we are in regard to that government's pledge to build those 1 million properties. So let's have a look at the figures that we've got coming in on this. And in what appears to be a change in the government sort of approach to the housing market here, what we have found is that they seem to have fallen back in love in regard to the housing market and the house building process. I say with that pledge to build 300,000 properties over the next 3 years. If we look back over the figures there, we can see, and I'm just scrolling through here just to let you know where we are with the house build so far where we are. So nationally, the number of new homes recently built over this last year stands now at 217,344 in the last year alone. If we compare that again with their pledge to build that 1 million over the 3 years, you can see there straight away that they are behind on that already. Looking closer to home, in the Bourne area, there were a total of 478 net additional dwellings that's actually been built in the last 12 months in the South Kesteven District Council area. And that actually just shows an increase of just a meagre 0.87%, and that's on the 2010 figure. The figures show that 94% of the additional housing that was built was down to new build property, and in total there were 450 new homes built over the last year in South Kesteven. In addition, there were 26 additional dwellings which were created from converting commercial or office buildings into residential property and dwellings. And that's just from converting them into flats and apartments. It's encouraging obviously to see that some of the new households in the Bourne area had come from this change of use. I don't know whether you're familiar, but planning laws were changed and relaxed several years ago so that in certain circumstances owners of those office spaces, often which were empty, didn't then need planning permission to change that space into residential use. If we cast our attention back though to the autumn budget, Theresa May and Philip Hammond both set out their stall with housing being their key focus. I was glad to see that the government were introducing a variety of changes to improve housing, including more funding to help with the issue of housing supply, alongside a much needed urgency to changing the planning system. You may be aware, especially if you are a developer, a local developer looking for land and building applications, that there's currently so much red tape involved and it's such a long drawn out process that actually that can put many local developers off, especially of building smaller developments of only 3, 4 up to 10 maybe properties. But the biggest question is just where are the government going to be build all of these new properties? You've probably heard of greenfield sites and brownfield sites, and these are key areas of debate obviously within the area, whether we try to redevelop land within the actual town centres which now isn't being used by commercial buildings, or whether we go out into the countryside. Locally to Bourne, we've seen urban growth of Elsia Park over the last 15 years, which has seen some 2,000 properties being constructed. And they are now finished on the phase at the moment on that development, and that's costed an estimated £10 million, but that's enabled Bourne to increase its population by 50% within a decade. That's a staggering figure, and there's not many other sort of towns that can see that sort of rapid growth, bearing in mind again that we did have the recession as well. A hot topic at the moment is in regard to the housing application currently being submitted to the South Kesteven Council from Lark Homes, as I mentioned earlier, and that, as I mentioned, is for a further development of 110 properties, a proportion of which will be used for affordable housing, and that site is just to the north side of Manning Road, which many of you will be familiar with. The housing will be a mixture of properties ranging from 1 to 4 bedrooms, going from first time buyer starter properties up to family homes and up to what they class as retirement properties as well. Members of the Bourne Rural Facebook page have been recently asking why the council is allowing more development in Bourne without improving its infrastructure. In answer to this, one thing we do have to look at is the additional services that were provided over the past decade within the Elsia Park development. This has recently seen the construction of the Elsia Park Community Park School and also the Hereward Doctor's Surgery. So services have been put in within that local community. The planning department at the council obviously do need to consider these additional services when granting the development, and they will also need to look at the family units coming in, the chimney pots, and also obviously the population within that area, and provide services for that. We've actually approached Lark Homes directly throughout this week to see if we can get a comment from them in regard to any proposed improvements to that infrastructure and into the area, and again we'll let you know when we get a reply back from them as well, so again watch this space. And we're obviously sort of very mindful that this topic will probably continue to run for several weeks at the moment. We've got a bit of news in regard to what's happening next week, so you can get involved in that. However, Mr. Carl Hick, the Chief Executive at Lark Homes, did publish a statement back on the 2nd of January outlining his thoughts on the government's proposal over the housing budget. You may also want to know that Lark Homes are actually welcoming, as I say, your views on this development before they actually submit their outline planning permission over to the local council. They'll be holding a public exhibition next week on Thursday the 25th of January. That's between 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 7 o'clock in the evening, and that's going to be held over the road there at the Corn Exchange. It's a drop-in event, so again, if you've got any questions, any concerns, we would advise you to attend that to find out more if you're unable to do so because you're at work. We'd be happy to represent those questions for you. So again, get involved on the Facebook page, send those comments over, or send us an email over to bournesales@hillclock.co.uk. We're hoping to broadcast live from that event next week. So again, feel free to pop those questions to us. We'll pop over the road next week, and we're hoping to bring part of that show from that and see if we can get some questions back on the day for you. Back to the main point though, and the focus, I say, on the housing market by the Tories is good news for all homeowners and also buy-to-let landlords, as it will encourage more fluidity in the market in the longer term, therefore sharing the wealth and benefits of home ownership for all. However, in the short term, demand still outstrips supply, and that will mean continued upward pressures for rents for tenants and an increase in property values for local homeowners. If you're not sure of the current market value of your own property and you would like to know, we are more than happy, we'll be delighted to offer you a free, no obligation market appraisal of your property. All you'd need to do is get in contact with the office. Again, get involved on Facebook, send those questions over to us, or your interest in having your own property valued. As a group, we've arranged nearly just over 70 market appraisals on properties across our offices in the first 2 weeks of this year already. So that also demonstrates that there is a lot of activity, and there are a lot of people seriously considering putting their houses on the market at the moment. Off the back of that, we're also finding that house sales are really strong as well at the moment. The Bourne office in particular have sold over £1 million worth of properties in the first 2 weeks of 2018, which is great news if you're a local homeowner. We're also achieving 98.2% of asking price, and as we mentioned last week, the average sale time for a property being sold in the Bourne area with ourselves is currently 74 days. Normal average in the Bourne area, when you take all the agents into account, is 83 days. So if you're interested in that market as well and would like a bit more information about the topic there, look back to last week's broadcast. That's one of the subjects that we talked about. That broadcast can be found on our Facebook page just by scrolling back through previous post editions, and also we're going to be posting these up on our YouTube channel. You're able to head over to that and just subscribe onto that, and you'll get all future broadcasts out as well. So that covers the hot topic for this week. If you would like us to investigate anything in the local housing market, love your feedback on that. Send something over for us. Again, get involved with us, and again, we'll be happy to look into that, and maybe that will feature as one of our hot properties in the future. That email address for you again is bournesales@hillclark.co.uk. So let's see how we're getting on this evening and see if we've got some people out there watching. Yep, we're getting some thumbs up, which is great to see. Thank you very much indeed. As I say, keep hitting those for us. Any questions that are coming in, which again we can start to see there's a few of those coming. So great, thank you very much indeed for that. Don't forget to hit the heart buttons as well for us. Next thing we want to be having a look at for you then is this week's question of the week. Been out on the roads today, getting involved with local businesses, and we've had some great questions coming in today actually, and that's actually led to some great conversations with all you good people of Bourne, when we've been popping into some of these businesses just for a couple of minutes just to have a bit of a catch up with you. It's often been sort of 20 minutes, half an hour we've spent with you, really getting involved back into our local community. One of the particular questions this week has been posed by Dominic. He's the current owner of the recently opened up D-Tech Electronics over in Bourne. And he asks, what's currently happening in the rental market in Bourne? Which again, really good question. There are lots of tenants out there in the Bourne market, as well as obviously home buyers and sellers, and we've got some information for you off the back of that for you, Dominic. Again, we'll be posting this up for you as well, so you can get this information and download it as well. But we've done a bit of homework for you this afternoon, further to your question, and we've established that there are currently 39 properties currently available to let in the Bourne area and within a 3-mile radius. The average rent of those property is actually quite surprising. It's £820 per calendar month, which is a really good figure, and again it just shows the affluent area of the Bourne and the surrounding areas as well. There were a further 29 properties which are currently showing as under application, so potential tenants already put an application in for that property or let agreed before the tenant moves into the property. Going back a little bit though, we've dug a little bit deeper for you, Dominic. We've actually established that Bourne rents have actually risen by 14.5% since 2005, and there's currently much talk of what will happen to the rental property market following Brexit. In Bourne, as for the rest of Great Britain, notwithstanding a slight drop in 2008 and in 2009 again with the recession, property rentals have gradually been increasing. The income from rentals has been progressively increasing steadily, as I say, over that period, over the last 12 years. And today, as I say, they're at 14.5% higher than they were back at the beginning of 2005. More importantly, if we look back over the last 5 years, we've seen a steady average growth of about 1.6% per year. And from a landlord's point of view, increase in average rental income is not, again, to be sneered at really. However, we do need to take into account inflation in all of this equation as well. So let's have a look at the equation. That's been steady at 38.5% since 2005. However, rental income is not the only way to generate money from property, as property values can also increase, something else we also looked at last week. Although in the short term cash flows are diminishing, many Bourne landlords may be content to accept that for an increase in capital value, Bourne values in Bourne have risen by 28.3% since 2005, and this equates to a reasonable 2.35% per annum increase over that 12 years. Even more interesting though is that this includes the 2008-2009 property crash, and that will make Bourne landlords investors feel a little bit better about the information regarding rents after inflation. What we need to take into account is the balance of capital growth and yield, as again mentioned in last week's broadcast, whilst diversifying the risk that you need to take into account. As I mentioned, if you'd like some more information about the difference between yields and capital growth, head back over into last week's broadcast. Again, Easy way of doing that, after tonight's edition, just scroll back through your Facebook and you can see the post that was loaded up there last week. As I say, in addition, head over to that YouTube channel and again subscribe to that, and again you'll also be sent over the future editions. If you are investing in the Bourne property market, what we'd advise is that you do your homework, and while some yields may look attractive, there are properties in many areas that do not have the solid rudiments in place to sustain them well. And if you're looking for capital growth, you might be surprised where the hidden gems really are. We'd always suggest that you take advice. If you're using a local letting agent at the moment, talk to them. Even ask your letting agent for a portfolio analysis. This is something that we offer to all of our landlords. We'd be delighted again to give you a detailed analysis of past and also anticipated investment opportunities on your portfolio. Also, look out for all of our buy-to-let deals. We have those over on YouTube. Many of you are getting involved with all of our local offices where we have a lettings department, where the local property managers will go out and source the local buy-to-let deals, and we'll be telling you where those areas are, where are the best places to invest, and also what yields you can receive back off those properties. Once you've found that property and you're looking for a management agent to help rent that out, get in contact with ourselves and we'll let you know about the full range of services that we can offer to you. Good points here while we're talking about Facebook and the lettings market. Had a bit of surprising news today. We had a phone call from one of our offices this morning where we found out that one of our rental properties, which was available to let, was empty. Somebody had recognised that property and put a Facebook post up pretending to be the landlord of that property, and was offering it on Facebook at a much lower rental per calendar month than what we were offering it, where you could see it through Rightmove. Somebody had seen that post, had been in contact directly with the proposed landlord of that property, had been in discussion and then arranged to view the property this morning. Just at the last minute, the potential viewer and tenant got a message from the potential landlord of that property saying that they weren't able to make the appointment, but have a look round from the outside, and if they're interested, send another message back, and at that point would they be in a position to send over application fees, first month's rents and even deposits. The lady turned up to do the viewing, say the potential landlord wasn't there. She had also then seen that we've got a to let board in the garden, contacted our office, where it became apparent when we were in discussion that that potential landlord wasn't in fact the landlord of that property. We identified it very, very quickly and put a stop to that. That's now being reported. Funnily enough, that Facebook page and the owner, potential landlord of that property, all the posts and Facebook page has now gone down. So it is always really important to be checking out there in the marketplace of what's actually happening. There are lots of different ways of obviously getting income and money from unsuspecting sort of tenants and people out there. So that's a live situation. That's what's happened potentially with one of our properties. Fortunately, we've got good staff who ask all the right questions and can identify this, and we've stopped that straight away. As I say, that's been reported. So again, if you're a landlord in the area, we'd love to hear from you. Let us sort of let you know the sort of advice and the service that we can be offering for you. There's a huge amount of changes coming into the marketplace in the next 3 to 4 months. There's the changes in regard to the EPCs, and obviously one of the hot topics, something that we'll be talking throughout the whole year for, is the tenant fee bans, which will be coming into place potentially next spring. So again, keep an eye out on the Facebook page just to see how that goes as well, so we can give you any feedback and comments as we get those as well. Let's see what else we've got going on this evening. We've also got a question here from Bev over at Clinton's.
So Bev, as you know, the property show is all about asking those questions that people want to know about the housing market in the area. So what property related question do you have?
Well, I've lived in Bourne all my life, and I'd like to know on property prices how they've increased over the last 20 years.
Okay, brilliant. We're going to go away and have a look at that and research that one for you, and we'll bring that to you in the next property show.
We are going to be discussing this in a bit more detail next week, because actually the findings that we had this afternoon were quite staggering, really. We've looked at a property value back 20 years ago for argument's sake, a 1-bedroom. We've gone to a 2-bedroom, we've gone to a semi-detached property, and we've gone to detached. We've worked out the average over the last 20 years, and you may be surprised to find out that on average the profit per month in a Bourne property over the last 20 years is £564.90 a month consistently over the last 20 years. So Bev, thanks for getting involved today. I really hope that that's answered the question for you. But we'll be featuring that in next week's post a lot more thoroughly. What we'll also be doing is putting our blog up on the website tomorrow. That's over at bournepropertyblog.co.uk. Again, head over to that website, hit on the subscribe button, and you'll get that sent through free every single week that we post that up for. Again, you can look back through post-blog editions that we've got up on there. So we'll be looking at that in a lot more detail next week, as I say. Let's see where else we can help you. One of the things that we also established when we were out in the town today speaking to a business owner is they are looking for a new commercial property. So if you are an owner or landlord of a commercial property in Bourne, we would love to hear from you. This particular tenant, business owner, is looking for around about 1,000 square feet, would ideally like a roadside prominent position. The business owner has been around for a good number of years, has got a great reputation and is very well known in the town, and is looking just to expand into bigger business premises. So if you can help, get in contact with us again. Send that post over or comment on the little box at the bottom of your screen, and send that over to Lewis and the team here. We would also love to get those questions or that answer back over to us again on our email address, bournesales@hillclock.co.uk. Time's really flying on. Again, been sat here on myself this evening without Lewis and the team also in here. So we've not had that banter between the two of us, but hopefully you've been involved with just myself tonight. Again, really good to see obviously the feedback that we're getting through tonight. Again, I can see nice thumbs up all pinging across the screen, which is great to see. So thank you very, very much indeed for getting involved. What we'll be doing from here now is putting some video edits just to show some of the questions that were posed over to us earlier today. And we'll also again be looking forward to hearing back from Lark Fleet Homes over the next 7 days. Again, don't forget again about that open exhibition next week with Lark Fleet Homes between 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Thanks ever so much indeed for getting involved. This has been a fantastic week for us. It's going really well in the community of Bourne. It's been great to get some involvement from you. We're loving doing this again. So it is all about you and the Bourne community and marketplace. So do get involved. Thanks very much indeed. Really look forward to seeing you all again next Thursday at 6 o'clock. Thanks very much.